I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Good evening and welcome to Camnet TV Main News. The headlines. UPND Alliance Council of Presidents describes KBF's intention of fixing President HICHILEMA as treasonable. Government intervenes in the land dispute between Chinese investors and LITETA occupants. Former government officials implicated in the FDJ University saga deny any wrongdoings. And in international news, Somalia president vows all-out war against AL-SHABAAB. And in sports, Copper Queen's head coach calls for more international friendly games in preparation for the World Cup. Details coming through after this commercial.
Are you a business organization or an individual with a dream to register your presence in Zambia and around the world? Waste no time, because Camnet Television is offering an opportunity to sponsor any of the following programs: the main news, national matters, breakfast show, the verdict, partnership of greatness, economic briefcase, business and sports news. For more details, call following numbers. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
The first league season is here. It brings new teams and players on the scene. Among the new entrants on the block are the amazing Born for Greatness, Camnet Stars Football Club. Camnet Stars will this Saturday, 27th August 2022, face the Super Eagles of Bauleni at Margaret Mwanakato Ground in Bauleni. Time 15 hours. Remember, this Saturday, make it a point to come, watch and support Camnet Stars Football Club, the champions of today and tomorrow. Camnet Stars, popularly known as the local national team, a team born for greatness. See you there.
And other main news in detail. Former Secretary to the Treasury, Fredson Yamba, former Ministry of Higher Education Permanent Secretary, Owen Mugemezulu, and 4 others have denied having failed to abide by the guidelines of procurement when they contracted a Chinese company to design and build FDJ Chiluba University in Mansa and Kasama. They are accused of facing 5 counts of willful failure to comply with applicable law and procedure contrary to Section 34(2)(b) of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 3 of 2012. Allegations are that the accused authorized an advanced payment of over 33 million United States dollars to a Chinese construction company to build the university without following the laid-down procedure.
Earlier this year, controversy surrounding the proposed FDJ Chiluba University gave rise to public debate, and it became a subject of much political discourse, which followed a couple of arrests by the Anti-Corruption Commission in relation to the disbursement of over 33 million United States dollars for the project. Those arrested: former Secretary to the Treasury, Fredson Yamba, former Minister of Health Education Permanent Secretary, Owen Mugemezulu, appeared before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court the morning of the 26th of August 2022 and have pleaded not guilty to the allegations of willful failure to comply with the law and abuse of authority that the state have slapped them with. The 2 former public officials have been jointly charged with former Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Vocation Training, Science and Early Education, Dr. Patrick Kinkaza, former Minister of Education employees Joseph Ntele, Joseph Piri, and Joseph Ngulube. All the accused have denied the allegations leveled against them by the state. The first charge alleges that Mr. Yamba between the 1st of January 2017 and the 31st of December 2017, during his time as Secretary to the Treasury in the Ministry of Finance, he authorized an advance payment of over $33 million United States dollars to China Energy Engineering Group, Hanan Electro Power Design Institute, for the construction of FTJ Chilewa University under the Ministry of Higher Education without following the laid-down procedure. While in the second charge, Mr. Mugeme Zulu, at the time when he was then Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Higher Education, failed to comply with applicable law when he entered into a contract worth $225 million United States dollars with China Energy Engineering Group, Hanan Electro Power Design Institute, for the design and build of the said university without subjecting the said contract to the Zambia Public Procurement Authority for approval. Other counts are that Mr. Ntele abused the authority of his office by neglecting to secure the advance payment guarantee and performance bond for the construction of the said university, which resulted in the loss of $45 million United States dollars between the 1st of January 2017 and the 30th of June 2020, the time he was director under the Zambia Education Project Implementation Unit in the Ministry of General Education. The matter was earlier before the SAGA Principal Magistrate Jennifer Walia, who sent it back for reallocation, as she is one of the magistrates who are on the transfer list, will appear before court on the 26th and 27th of September 2022 for commencement of trial. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court Friday morning learnt that 3 honeybee directors who are accused of altering a false document to obtain a contract from the Ministry of Health were acquitted by a magistrate without appearing before court, taking plea, or being prosecuted. This came to light after prosecutors from the Anti-Corruption Commission requested the court to refer the matter to the High Court for determination of the purported notice of acquittal issued by the 3 accused. This is in a case in which Zakia Hussein Motala is jointly charged with Abdur Motala and Imran Lunat with 1 count of altering false documents.
The Lusaka's Magistrate Court learned Friday morning that the 3 honeybee farmers directors who are accused of altering a false document to obtain a contract from the Ministry of Health were acquitted by a magistrate despite them never appearing before court, taking plea, or even being prosecuted. This came to light after prosecutors from the Anti-Corruption Commission requested the court to refer the matter to the High Court for determination on whether the plea in bar has raised by Defense Counsel Tutu Nguluwe can be sustained where the plea was not taken and where there were no criminal proceedings before which the accused appeared. The 3 honeybee directors, namely Zak Motala, Adruf Motala and Imarin Lutan, have been charged with 1 count of uttering a false document contrary to the laws of Zambia. However, have contested their prosecution by the Anti-Corruption Commission on account that they cannot be prosecuted for the similar offense twice. The trio have produced a notice of acquittal through their lawyer, Mr. Nguluwe, before court, alleging that they appeared before a court of competent jurisdiction facing the same charge and they were freed in January 2021. However, when the matter came up this morning, the state, who were responding to the defense application, have questioned the purported notice of acquittal produced by the accused persons while requesting the Chief Resident Magistrate, who is in conduct of this matter, to refer it to the High Court under the provision of Section 80 of the CPC for determination as to whether a magistrate Chihuahua competently acquitted them in 2021, when the complaint that was lodged against them by the complainant, a one Mr. Joseph Chilwa, a legal practitioner, withdrew it before it was even allocated to the said magistrate. It has also been revealed in the state's further submissions that the 3 honeybee directors were jointly charged with former Health Minister Shitadu Chilufya among others, in 2021 and were all acquitted without even appearing before a court of competent jurisdiction. The matter comes up for a ruling on the 9th of September 2022 on whether the subordinate court should consider the state's submission to refer the case to the High Court for determination or discharge the accused on ground that they were prosecuted in 2021 for the said offense. According to the SEC statement, the arrest of the 3 honeybee directors comes in the wake of a contract awarded to honeybee farmers for the supply of 22,500 healthy kits at the contract sum $17 million United States dollars. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Network for Young People Against Violence Executive Director Moses Kalonde has alleged that some PF officials are trying to bribe some candidates to withdraw from the by-election to provoke fresh nominations. He has, however, warned that if such a thing happens, some people risk facing corruption charges. And Mr. Kalonde has charged that the Electoral Commission of Zambia is on firm grounds for rejecting the nomination of Bowman Lusambo and John Malanji to recontest the Kwacha and Kabushi by-elections. On Thursday, the ECZ rejected the nomination of Joseph Malanji and Bowman Lusambo for the Kwacha and Kabushi constituencies, respectively, citing Article 724 of the Constitution. He believes the Electoral Commission of Zambia acted within its mandate and in tune with upholding the rule of law.
As I'm talking to you, they have started visiting the independent candidate so that they can coerce him with huge sums of monies so that he can withdraw his candidature, and you all are aware of what the new constitution stipulates or states regarding the withdrawal of a candidate from the race. Simply means that when one withdraws, you will have to conduct fresh elections. We wish to sound a warning to the perpetrators, those that the Constitution barred to file in their nominations, to stop the rot, because that is tantamount to corruption, and you are very much aware that the SEC of today is very different from the SEC of yesterday. The SEC of yesterday did not have teeth to bite. This particular one has teeth, enough teeth and very sharp teeth to bite.
Operation Young Vote Executive Director Ges Nyirenda says there is need for the Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ to create a provision of civil society to monitor the ongoing voter registration exercise across the country. Mr. Nyirenda says this is to ensure that the CSOs offer the necessary advice to make the process more effective. In an interview, Mr. Nyirenda says despite being engaged various times, ECZ has continued turning down requests from relevant civil society to monitor the exercise without clear reasons.
The Zambian Republican Constitution provides for eligible citizens to register as voters under Article 46, in line with the country's status as a democracy. The registration process a few months before general elections has faced many challenges, including machine breakdowns, hence putting citizens in danger of not voting. To prevent such incidents, the Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ on 1st June 2022 rolled out the continuous voter registration exercise in 10 districts across the country, with an aim of this program being rolled out to all districts across the country in the long run, in order to register as many people as possible. As of 31st July 2022, ECZ had recorded a low turnout in contrast to what was expected, having registered only 2,810 voters. Civil society in the electoral field, among them Operation Young Vote OIV, feel that the process is not effective because civil society has been turned away from monitoring this process. OIV Executive Director Ges Nyirenda was speaking to Camnet News.
As Operation Young Vote, we feel that the ECZ is doing a disservice, especially with regards to the continuous voter registration exercise. We say so because we know that all these public exercises that go on, one of the ingredients that make them even perform better and have better outcomes and results is the aspect of observation and monitoring. We expected that the ECZ would have given us leeway, would have given civil society a chance to be able to observe and monitor the continuous voter registration. But alas, unfortunately, the ECZ has been adamant. They have refused to allow civil society to monitor, giving an excuse of the spaces being too small and limited.
He notes that such initiatives need concerted efforts if to work, as they are of national interest and should not be the duty of ECZ alone.
And we did propose to them a mechanism that would not even crowd anyone in those spaces or offices where continuous voter registration is happening. We said we would be actually having one person from civil society at a time. So we would work around some work plan as civil society and say it is this time who goes from this time to this time, or this date is for this particular civil society, and tomorrow it's this one. And until the registration is done, you know, to the point where there will be now collection and putting things together. But unfortunately, the ECZ...
It is hoped that all eligible voters will be registered before the next general elections in 2026, and that all voters will participate to enhance democracy. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The United Party for National Development Alliance Council of President has charged that it is treasonable for Kelvin Waliafube to form a political party with the motive of fixing President Hakainde Hichilema. UPND Alliance spokesperson Daniel Shimunza says President Hichilema pledged to fix the social and economic ills, wondering why Mr. Walia has opted to attack the head of state. Dr. Shimunza says KBF demonstrated an overrated superiority attitude and has shown his appetite to satisfy his selfish interest, thereby failing to uphold the value of the alliance. Meanwhile, All People's Congress leader Nelson Musoni has charged that they only had a procedural setback at a time when they accused President Hakainde Hichilema of sidelining allegiance partners.
The political fraternity continues to expand, although only a few political parties are active. Meanwhile, only 3 political parties are represented in parliament, which include the United Party for National Development UPND, the Patriotic Front PF, and the Party of National Unity and Progress PNUP. Zambia Must Prosper, led by Kelvin Waliafube, popularly known as KBF, is a new political party to be formed upon breaking away from the UPND alliance, and during the launch, KBF accused the UPND administration of depending only on President Hakainde Hichilema, and most of it all, he vowed to fix the fixer, making reference to President Hakainde Hichilema, whose campaign message prior to the August 12 general election was "Bali will fix it." President Hichilema only ended at congratulating KBF, but the Alliance President's Council has extended it to labeling the statement by KBF as treasonable.
Traits that KBF has never been a team player, but an egoistic, self-praised colleague who always brags about his superiority over others rather than collective wisdom, which is greater than overrating oneself. How come all the presidents that KBF claims to have made never considered him in any government? The second issue that we want to state as the council president is the assertion by KBF that he has come on the political scene to register his party to fix the fixer. That is a misplaced, self-destructive, treasonous agenda.
UPND Alliance spokesperson Daniel Shimunza says KBF only demonstrated overrated superiority attitude and has showed his appetite to satisfy his selfish interest, further stating that the pact is intact despite his departure.
The fixer, as he called it, is a blazing battle line with a state that protects the sitting president, of which KBF is too small to win. As a learned colleague of so many years at the bar, he should have known better, but now he must show cause why the state that protects any sitting president should not be interested in investigating this attack of his on a sitting president. And
All People's Congress President Nason Musoni has charged that they only had a procedural setback at a time when he accused President HICHILEMA of sidelining alliance partners.
Conditionally, and I still support him. We are in a better place, Zambians, with the UPND alliance. We should never at any moment contemplate going back. We are coming from a very difficult, troubled past that was defined by corruption and lawlessness. Surely you don't want our country to go there again. And we must urge and appeal to our people where there are by-elections that it is better to be where we are at the minute than to look back. That group of men and women are characters unfit for government. You cannot be a thief and be a leader at the same time. You have to choose one. If you are saying you are going to be a leader, then you can't be the one in the forefront stealing public resources.
The UPND Alliance also insisted that it is not about jobs, but service to the people and ensuring that the country upholds peace and unity while fostering development. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Some Copperbelt University students have dispelled the notion that mining can be best done by foreign investors. The youths challenged the government to create opportunities for young people to participate in the mining sector. The youths, who have developed an extraction plant under a community-led mining project being supported by the leadership movement, say they want to contribute to the development of the country. And leadership movement President Dr. Richard Sulumbe says they want to champion sustainable development by empowering both educated and uneducated citizens with skills to contribute to the national development.
Zambia is a mining country. However, mines ownership is foreign-dominated and the sector has not been contributing as expected to the country's gross domestic product, GDP, and this is a debate that is not ending anytime soon. Among players that have been advancing the participation of Zambians in the mining sector is the opposition leadership movement, by advocating for community-led mining in order to create an opportunity for the majority Zambians to earn a living. To demonstrate that it is possible, the opposition political party has set the foundation by setting up an extraction plant in Kitwe, in Kwacha constituency, using young people from the Copperbelt University.
Engineering. So here we just want to demonstrate on how best we can bring mining from it being called an expensive thing to something that we can do on a lowest cost. So here we want to demonstrate using the much abundant resources that we have in terms of minerals. As you can see, this is iron ore.
They say it is possible to undertake mining at local level using readily available resources.
Yeah, it's very possible because when we look at Zambia is a country which is very rich in minerals. So even local people, it's very possible for them to do, because mining is something which we can start even at a low cost, because there are different branches that you can take according to your capital that you have.
And at the end of the process, the final aluminium product looks more like this. Party President Dr. Richard Sulumbe informed the people of Kwacha constituency that only Zambians can develop the country.
Leadership movement politics tatuli ma politician yo tuli ma reformers bakachinja bafintu tulefa okwebati fwebe na Zambia ifintu fyonso folesa tupera fwebe ne tule ibomfesha kansha baba lumendo abamwamona pano eba twitiro kwisa mona ofo bengalo lekeshapo pakwebati ifintu folesa tupera twa mona ofo twinga fibomfya twakwata mona omukuba ne fintu ifya lekana.
During the same meeting, the party unveiled its parliamentary candidate for Kwacha constituency, Professor Oliver Silumbe, who stressed that they do not have to wait until they form government in order to contribute to national development.
We have ushered in a lot of projects over the past years. So we are very confident that we can deliver Kwacha constituency into the hands of the leadership movement. It's quite an uphill, however we are very confident based on the projects that we are delivering in communities. You agree with me that living costs are going up right now. So many areas of the economy are a bit on the downside. However, it's not finger pointing.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The government, through Land and Natural Resources Minister Elijah Mchima, has halted the digging of trenches by a Chinese investor in Chivombo's Kankuka and Mubimba zones. Mr. Mchima, who visited the affected areas following unrest between the investors and the local people, says while government fully supports investment, it should not be one which condemns Zambians to slavery. And in response, Xinjiang Biotech Administration Manager Xunshan Cheng informed the minister and his delegation that the reason behind the digging of the trenches is to deter the locals from encroaching in the company's farm with the view to steal.
This is a piece of land in Kakoma ward of Chief LITETA area in Chivombo district, which is alleged to have been sold to some Chinese investors by the traditional leadership in the area. As though the pain of losing this huge piece of land is not enough for the people, as though the pain of losing this huge piece of land is not enough for the villagers in the area, the Chinese investors have gone as far as digging these deep trenches in the wetlands around the people's homes, thereby cutting them off from accessing their fields, graveyards and the Lunjova River, which they use for fishing and grazing area for their animals. The cries of these villagers has caught the attention of the Lands Minister Elijah Mchima, who Thursday visited the area to appreciate the challenges, and the minister is not happy with what he found.
Until the report has come out and until we finish these investigations, stop digging the trenches. Stop them immediately. Okay. If I were you have come to dig a trench before you conclude this matter, your license or your title deed, will be withdrawn. Okay. Yeah, there are issues here. We have to be careful the way we are trading. Okay.
And the Chinese firm Chengwang Biotech, in its defense, says the reason why it has decided to dig the trenches is because the villagers are in the system of invading their premises to steal their properties.
Sometimes we have lost or lost small river because there are some, not many people, but some still steal things from the farm. We can't manage it, every month they come steal things from here. So that's why we need to...
Yeah, there are reasons, there are ways of how you can protect your farm. Because they are complaining that we are harassing them all the time with the police, all the time tear gas says they are going there, and also animals, including people, have died in those trenches.
And the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, who were also present at the meeting, informed the Chinese investors that they were going to inspect the company premises to ensure that they were not abrogating the law and then later issue a report.
We have a lot of conditions at the back under which this factory must operate. So today my team is going to go around with you, bullet point by bullet point, and then we are going to see whether you are sitting well with these conditions or not.
The minister later interacted with the villagers and assured them that their issue will be looked into with the agency it deserves.
Further there you see the waters. This is the Lunjova River, which is feeding into the Lukanga Plains, going further to the Kafue River. The rains are coming. As they are standing here, we don't know where they are going to do. They are plowing or growing of the land had been sold to the Chinese, and they thought maybe it was just ending that side. To their surprise, when they saw the trenches, that's when they realized they were engulfed. And they realized that their land had been taken from them.
The government of Hakainde HICHILEMA wants a Zambian to be more important than anything else. Whether you are educated or not, to us a Zambian is more important. Why we allow investment is to create employment, is to create wealth for this country, not to put you into poverty, not to put you into difficulty, not to put you into prison.
For now, we will continue to follow how the matter will unfold. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Free Press Initiative Zambia and Kalemba Consortium, through a project known as Strengthening Digital Media and Social Activism for Just Climate Action, are calling on government to prioritize more funding towards fighting and mitigating climate change. Speaking at a climate art cocktail event in Lusaka Thursday, the FBI Advisory Board Chairperson Sally Chiwama says the project seeks to build a broad-based climate alliance at country level in spheres targeting the urban-rural, gender, youth divides to influence national and global policies, as well as financial flows in support of locally shaped solutions. And speaking at the same event, Minister of Green Economy and Environment accompanied Information Minister Chushi Kasanda says government will work closely with this initiative in ensuring that people are sensitized and made to understand the dangers of climate change, beginning with the indiscriminate cutting of trees.
Changes in climate change pose challenges to Zambia's ongoing efforts to combat poverty, reduce food insecurity, and sustainably manage natural resources. Climate effects in Zambia include increases in temperature and more extreme weather. These effects of climate change are global, with the worst hit being the poor in developing countries. Organizations have joined hands with a call to action on leaders to ensure that activities that enhance the fight against climate change are enhanced. Kalemba Multimedia and Free Press Initiative, in a climate change project that has been running for the past 7 months with artists dotted across the 10 provinces of Zambia, Thursday hosted an arts cocktail as a roadmap to the Africa Climate Week, slated for 29th August to 2nd September 2022. Sally Chiwama is Free Press Initiative Advisory Committee Chairperson.
A project that aims to strengthen the capacity for vulnerable communities to raise voices to duty bearers, like the Honorable Minister here, and decision makers on the effects of climate change in livelihood, resilience, and demand climate adaptation actions through the use of digital and physical spaces. We are working in the Lower Zambezi, Kafue Basin, and Lusaka Province, located in the central part of the Southern Plateau and the southern region of Zambia, respectively. The specific districts that we are working in include Lusaka, Chongwe, Rufunsa, Luangwa, Chikankata, Siabonga, Kafue, and Iteji-Teji.
What we want as peoples, we want even creatives to be part of this process, to be able to inspire, motivate, and of course hold our leaders accountable to ensure that what the minister pronounces is actually done as well.
And Minister of Information and Media Chushi Kasanda has commended Kalemba Multimedia and its partners for choosing climate change as a topic to thrive on.
So it is on all of us here as Zambians to take the lead to make sure that we bring that to a stop. It's very, Honorable Minister, it's very unusual, very, very unusual that the media will take up the lead of climate change. I must commend you.
Speaking as guest of honor, Minister of Green Economy and Environment Collins Nzovo says government remains committed to supporting initiatives aimed at raising awareness on matters of climate change. He says information is key to the fight against climate change as it empowers local communities to take appropriate measures to mitigate the harsh effects of climate change.
The government does not want to leave anyone behind in the fight against climate change, but encourages everyone to get involved and be a change maker in protecting the environment and the universe as a whole to enable us leave behind a livable earth for future generations. Government working with non-state actors including the private sector, civil society like yourselves, and the academia, with support from our cooperating partners and development partners, is strengthening the policy and regulatory framework on green growth and climate change.
Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Chief Mumba in Mumbwa Central Province says farmers need smart gadgets to access latest online farming information. The traditional leader notes that Mumbwa is a farming district, hence the need for people to move with the trends in accessing markets and other latest agriculture practices using smart gadgets. Chief Mumba was speaking during the launch of the first mobile champion shop in Central Province Friday. And Mumbwa District Commissioner Namukulo Hayumbu saluted the company for extending its services to the people of Central Province, who she says deserve the best and latest electronics that the company is providing. Meanwhile, Mobile Champion Sales and Marketing Manager Relief Mpashi has pledged the company's commitment to provide the best services and products to the people of Mumbwa.
Thank you so much for the support that we've received from the local authority here, starting from our Honorable Member of Parliament, also the DC. We want to say thank you for welcoming us here in Mumbwa. Mobile Champion is not a new store. We've been in operation for some time now, and we thought of extending our services here in Mumbwa. We are in operation in places like in Southern Province, we are in Kalomo, we are in Monze, we are in Mazabuka, and in Western Province we are in Mongu. And this is why we are prompted to come and open a store here in Central Province. This is the first town in Central Province that we decided to come. We want to encourage even our local businessmen that we cannot only depend on the government alone. The new Dawn government has already put instrument that can help us to run businesses. We cannot only just depend on the government to help us. No. This is a wake-up call even to the young ones, the youths. You need to take up your mentorship at least.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
It's census time. The 2022 Census of Population and Housing will be conducted from 18th August to 14th September 2022. The census collects a lot of data for use in various aspects of social and economic planning for the country. We are all required to participate in the census by being counted. You will be counted from your usual dwelling place by a census enumerator. Please receive and cooperate with the census enumerator and provide the required information when you will be visited. Your responses to the census questions will be treated with strict confidentiality and will be used for statistical purposes only.
Hi, I'm coming to count you.
Because everyone counts. This message is brought to you by the Zambia Statistics Agency with support from the UNFPA.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
The First League season is here. It brings new teams and players on the scene. Among the new entrants on the block are the amazing Born for Greatness Camnet Stars Football Club. Camnet Stars will this Saturday, 27th August 2022, face the Super Eagles of Bauleni at Margaret Mwanakato Ground in Bauleni. Time 15 hours. Remember, this Saturday, make it a point to come, watch and support Camnet Stars Football Club, the champions of today and tomorrow. Camnet Stars, popularly known as the local national team, a team born for greatness. See you there.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the rest of the main news. The International Police Interpol Regional Bureau based in Harare, Zimbabwe says the continued trafficking of human person and smuggling of immigrants is a sign that men and women in uniform lack information on how to combat the vice. Speaking at official closing of the trainer on trafficking in persons and smuggling of immigrants course, which was attended by 13 SADC member states in Lusaka Friday, Interpol Specialized Officer Alekunda Uriel says there is need to increase knowledge on human trafficking in officers, and that this can only be attained through continued training. Meanwhile, Deputy Inspector General of Police for Administration, Milna Muyamango, says there is need to combat human trafficking and has encouraged the participants to ensure that they go and train other officers in their respective countries.
The trafficking in of persons and smuggling of immigrants has continued to be a matter of great concern as people are every day being trafficked for cheap labor. Many reasons such as high poverty levels, ignorance and search for greener pasture has been attributed to being the main reason why many people today are being trafficked without even realizing what they are getting into. With many cases of human trafficking having gone unnoticed, the SADC Secretariat, United Nations Office on Drug and Crime Interpol, and the Southern African Regional Police Chief Cooperation Organization SAPCO organized a 5-day train the trainer on trafficking in persons and smuggling of immigrants course, which was attended by 13 SADC member states here in Lusaka. And speaking at the official closing of the training Friday, Interpol Regional Bureau representative has encouraged the participants in the course not to sit on the information but go and train other officers in their respective countries.
A workshop from the 26th to the 27th of July, where it was attended by immigration officers and police officers. And according to our evaluations, the frontliners are not much aware of what is supposed to be done professionally.
Meanwhile, Public Security Office for SAPCO, SADC Secretariat representative acknowledged the fact that human trafficking has continued, meaning much is not being done by men and women in uniform.
Traffickers exploit people for profit. The poor and the vulnerable are at the risk. That means that we should really enter that sector, we should penetrate the community at large. Having said that, it means that we need a holistic, robust approach in addressing trafficking in persons, smuggling of migrants, where we should join hands with our other frontline responders.
Meanwhile, Deputy Inspector General of Police for Administration Milna Muyambango has appreciated all stakeholders who are supporting the stop to human trafficking and has warned the traffickers to be on the lookout.
But through this training, officers will be capacitated to commit with health and act passionately within their mandates to tackle trafficking in human beings and smuggled migrants.
The participants were later awarded with certificates to indicate that they are now trainers on human trafficking and smuggling of immigrants. Perdes Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Higher Education Loans and Scholarships Board says it has since January to July 2022 recovered a total of 65 million kwacha from 186 employees who are faithfully remitting their loans. Board Director Irene Chura says the loan recovered are being spent on supporting students from 5 different higher learning institutions. Ms. Chura further says without the recoveries, it will be impossible to support other students who are in need of resources to advance their studies. She says the launch on an online platform will also enhance the recovery rate to ensure that all those students who have benefited from the loans and scholarships pay back.
Loan recoveries, to date we have recovered a total of 263.8 million. That is from 2018. But just for this year, we have since recovered a total of 64 million from January to June. We are in fact is from January to July. So that's the update. We have recovered 64 million, and we are recovering from now a total of 186 employers who are faithfully remitting. In that amount, we also have a few individuals that are paying off. And we are, like I mentioned earlier, we are hoping that with this system, a lot more will be encouraged to pay off. That money that we are recovering is going to support students in 5 institutions. That is Kapasa Makasa University, Kwame Nkrumah University, Charimbana University, Mukuva University, and Mulumbushi University. Without the recoveries, we would not be able to support this number of students.
The Zambia National Education Coalition ZANEC says there is need to create a uniform standard of education from early childhood education to tertiary level if the country is to attain universal quality education for all by 2030. Speaking during a stakeholders meeting aimed at minimizing tax evasion by for the financing of key sectors such as education, ZANEC Executive Director George Hamusunga notes that the calls for education to be improved have not been holistic. Meanwhile, speaking at the same meeting, Center for Trade Policy and Development, CTPD Head of Research Boyd Mulea says the first step to maximizing tax collection is registration for all businesses so that even the informal sector is included.
The expansion of the free education initiative to not only cover primary schools but also secondary schools under the current administration has brought a lot of talk on where funding to support this initiative will come from. While subsidies were scrapped off to finance key sectors such as education, stakeholders argue that this financing is not enough as problems in this sector are vast, ranging from the lack of adequate infrastructure to inadequate school stationery. The Zambia National Education Coalition ZANEC, in partnership with other players such as the Center for Trade Policy and Development CTPD and Action Aid, therefore Friday morning brainstormed on alternative sources of education funding to see to it that this education also comes with quality. Speaking during the meeting, ZANEC Executive Director George Hamusunga notes that there is need to provide quality education at all levels and not just primary and secondary levels.
And that's where the problem has been. But we have the potential to train our own people to create the technologies we require to harness the resources that we have sustainably in a way that will ensure that current generations benefit but don't at the expense of future generations.
Meanwhile, CTPD Head of Research Boyd Mulea notes that minimizing tax evasion is key to financing key sectors such as education by ensuring registration of businesses, be it in the informal sector.
Formalizing for us, we are taking it within the threshold of registration. You register and you actually qualify for the purpose of paying taxes. That is the basic concept around it, and that's what we would have defined in the study in terms of what we mean by registration. So you register your company and that you are ready to pay taxes, because we are talking about taxes and how we raise them. So the exam on small scale, for example, requires a sector-specific tax regime. which is more encouraging to them. In the current setup, the effective tax rate for Azam is over 70%. That is huge. So they avoid taxes. So why not reduce it and allow them the capacity to do their business?
Action Aid Country Director Nalucha Ziva has also added her voice.
But it starts by having a plan. So probably one of the things that we'd like to urge the Ministry of Education to focus on is to undertake a mapping of the infrastructure, especially in rural schools, and have a plan in terms of how we're going to phase out those schools. We saw it with countries such as Myanmar. They did that and it worked well over time. You won't find, you go to a rural area in some countries, you find that a rural school even has a library, it has a sporting infrastructure. So a school is not just about the classroom, it takes a lot to have a holistic learning environment. 2030 United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 4, to which Zambia is signatory, hopes to attain universal quality education for all by that deadline. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A clergyman, Ramon Kasamo, says churches should recognize the role they play in solving vices such as gender-based violence as well as drug and alcohol abuse by offering relevant counsel to victims. Speaking ahead of the glorious Impact Ministry Crusade at Hero Stadium in Lusaka Saturday, the clergyman says churches should preach practical messages which will respond to people's social and economic needs. The clergyman, who was in the company of 2 others from the said church, has also emphasized the need for sanity to be restored to the Christian faith, stating that too many people have flooded this sector in search for personal gain.
Where we will be helping you as Zambia with the Word of God, the accurate Word of God. See, in the Bible it says that we get born again, our lives are transformed. But we still, a lot of Christians seem to find a challenge with old habits once they're born again. So what the man of God teaches is he teaches you a message that helps you renew your mind to come out of those situations. So as a born-again Christian, we are born from the Spirit, but our minds need renewing. And the man of God comes with a packaged message that will help you renew your mind and come out of these challenges that you have, whether it be financial situations, whether it be drug situations, addictions, any form of situations that you have. Your mind will become renewed with the type of messages that our man of God services us with.
A senior government official in the Ministry of Education has called on government to consider putting agriculture science as a compulsory subject. Kabwe District Education Board Secretary DEBS Dr. Crispin Malaya is advocating for an inclusion of agriculture science on the list of compulsory subjects in a bid to develop skills among pupils from a tender age. Dr. Malaya says production units in schools has proved to be a good way of developing skills among learners.
According to statistics in the 7th National Development Plan, the agriculture sector is the 4th largest contributor to GDP. The sector contributes 8.7% to Zambia's GDP and is the largest contributor to employment. The agriculture sector remains critical for achieving diversification, economic growth and poverty reduction in Zambia. It is against this background that government, through the Ministry of Education, is promoting production unit in schools in an effort to develop skills among learners. And government says schools should not be employing people to man the projects such as chicken layering, but instead you train the pupils, especially those doing agriculture science.
In schools, production unit should not just be looked at a way of getting money. It should be looked at a way of giving these learners life skills when they leave the institution. The school should not employ people to feed the fish. They should not employ people to feed the chicken. The learners are supposed to be taught how to feed the chicken, especially those that are doing agriculture science. They should have that skill and learn it from school.
And so far, some schools in Kabwe districts are doing well in production unit.
We have 2 fish ponds. The first one we harvested last month. Out of that, we were able to raise a total cash of 40,090 kwacha. We have a piggery section. We have the plantation. We have planted over 100 pine trees. That's a long-term investment. 10 years from now, we'll be able to harvest timber from that, so that we are able now to make desks for our pupils. We have as a school, we are running a hammer mill that is giving us money on a daily basis.
We've been keeping fish in the same pond, and the same fish, we are using it when we have CPD meetings. We don't procure much of the foodstuffs. We use the fish, then we prepare for the teachers to have their meals. We decided to go into broiler chickens. So right now, we've been keeping broiler chickens as a school. We want to transfer the skills to the learners. So especially the upper school, we bring them here to learn on how to feed the chicks, how to put the water, clean the poultry house.
In terms of benefit for the children, they have actually gained the skill when we are feeding the fish, when we are harvesting, they are fully involved. So you can see the benefit on the part of the pupils. Fish has a huge market. In fact, it's just the community, the teachers and the community around.
Helen Witte reporting from Kabwe, Central Province.
International and sports news coming through right after this break.
It's census time. The 2022 Census of Population and Housing will be conducted from 18th August to 14th September 2022. The census collects a lot of data for use in various aspects of social and economic planning for the country. We are all required to participate in the census by being counted. You will be counted from your usual dwelling place by a census enumerator. Please receive and cooperate with the census enumerator and provide the required information when you will be visited. Your responses to the census questions will be treated with strict confidentiality and will be used for statistical purposes only.
Hi, I'm coming to count you.
Because everyone counts.
This message is brought to you by the Zambia Statistics Agency with support from the UNFPA.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
The FOWS League season is here. It brings new teams and players on the scene. Among the new entrants on the block are the amazing Born for Greatness, Camnet Stars Football Club. Camnet Stars will this Saturday, 27th August 2022, face the Super Eagles of Bauleni at Margaret Mwanakato Ground in Bauleni. Time 15 hours. Remember, this Saturday, make it a point to come, watch and support Camnet Stars Football Club, the champions of today and tomorrow. Camnet Stars, popularly known as the local national team, a team born for greatness. See you there.
Welcome back. We now get into our international item. The attack, which began on Friday night, was the biggest to hit Somalia's capital since Mohammed took office in June, and underscored the challenge of trying to crush the 15-year insurgency by the Al-Qaeda-linked group. In other news, locals shop at a market in the town of Al-Raziri following more than a week of deadly violence last month in Sudan's Blue Nile state, which prompted many vendors to close down their shops and flee. More in this report.
At sunset on Friday last week in Somalia's capital, an evening at a hotel turned to bloodshed after an extremist group killed 21 people over the course of a 35-hour siege. There were families and businessmen, government workers, people who saw profit and promise in a country rebuilding from decades of war. I feel pain. My two brothers were killed here. The first I raised from when he was born till he was educated. The second brother was nearly my age, but a bit older, so we grew up sharing the same lessons at school from an early age until I became a father of 12. And even now, when he used to see me from a distance, he always wanted to hang out with me. The Al-Shabaab extremist group affiliated with Al-Qaeda for years carried out complex attacks on them. The groups tend to start with explosions, then hold out for hours as an handful of fighters exchange gunfire with security forces until a bloody morning end. It's hard to describe what happened. People were really terrified and confused. A huge explosion occurred and they couldn't help one another. On top of that, there were hand grenades being used that terrified everyone. The four-story hotel in an highly fortified area near the international airport and government offices has been left chartered. Rebuilding, like everything else in today's global economy, would be expensive with the rising cost of construction materials. In days before the attack, new President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed vowed an offensive against Al-Shabaab to dislodge it from the large sections of Somalia it has controlled for years. More than a week of bloodshed last month in Sudan's Blue Nile state left at least 105 people dead and many left homeless as rival groups fought in a complex conflict involving deep-seated grievances, control of land and battles for power. The violence further emphasized a wider security breakdown since a military coup last year led by Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. When the conflict started, we didn't give it a second thought. We moved around, but we heard gunshots from inside our neighborhoods. Then a fire broke out, and we saw people fighting one another with weapons, while our people were carrying sticks and running. Some 31,000 people from both sides are forced to flee their homes, according to the United Nations. Each side blamed the other for starting the violence and has accused the government of backing the other. The conflict has left large numbers of people displaced within the region and in neighboring states. The government moved to contain the situation and imposed security, which had a big impact on easing the conflict. Before the unrest erupted in Blue Nile, the western region of Darfur had already seen months of ethnic clashes which killed hundreds of people. Blue Nile, a region awash with guns bordering South Sudan and Ethiopia, is still struggling to rebuild after decades of civil war. Following more than a week of deadly violence last month in Sudan's Blue Nile state, many vendors at a market in the town of Al-Shiris had to close down their shops and flee. Violence in Blue Nile state bordering Ethiopia has killed 60 and wounded 163 others, including 13 in serious condition, according to the health officials. The local market is now completely safe and people are living peacefully. Nothing is happening. Thank God the area is safe. Whatever happened is over. We hope Al-Shiris continue to be in peace. Clashes first erupted a week ago on Monday between the Beti and Hausa tribes after the Betis rejected a Hausa request to create a civil authority to supervise access to land. Troops were deployed to Blue Nile on Saturday, and since then, an uneasy calm has prevailed there, although tensions have escalated elsewhere. Before the event, the market used to be loud and bustling. Shops were full, but since then, not much is left. Many people have made an inventory of their stocks and shut down their shops, leaving them empty. Most of the shops are boutiques belonging to the Hausa. The Hausas are one of the largest ethnic groups in Africa, with tens of millions of members living in several countries. There are 3 million Hausas in Sudan, where they largely follow the religion of Islam, but speak their own native language rather than Arabic.
We'll now get into our sports item. Copper Queens head coach Bruce Mwape says there is need for the team to intensify preparations ahead of the 9th edition of next year's Women's World Cup. In an interview with Camnet Sports, Mwape notes that the team needs to engage in a number of international friendly games that will help the Copper Queens prepare for the tournament. Mwape states that the team aims to beat teams like England and the Netherlands. Mwape has since urged the Queens not to relax as there is a great task ahead.
Yeah, it is, and our preparations, going by our experience now, we've been to the Olympics, we know the kind of competition which is there. That's the same competition we expect to find when we go to the World Cup. But preparations will be, I would say, on friendly games. We need to play high-profile friendlies, not these local friendlies. The local friendlies, okay, some are like help you in one way or another just to maintain fitness. But when you look at the competition is different. So we need to play teams like, England, France, Holland, all those teams. Those are the high-profile friendlies that we
That sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. UPND Alliance Council of President describes KBF's intention of fixing President HICHILEMA as treasonable. Government intervenes in the land dispute between Chinese investors and LITETA occupants. Former government officials implicated in the FTJ University saga deny any wrongdoings. And in international news, Somalia President vows all-out war against AL-SHABAAB. And in sports, Copper Queens head coach calls for more international friendly games in preparation for the World Cup. That is all, but before we go, here's our Camnet verse of the day, and it is coming from the book of Psalm 119 verse 165, and it reads, "Great peace have those who love your law, and nothing can make them stumble." Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.